say what needs to be said. It's your host, Sante Mr. Pick Six Salmon. Week 9 winners and losers. Now we're midway through the season and things are starting to heat up. Now this Dolphins against the Kansas City Chiefs game. Why are the Dolphins unable to win against tough opponents? And my conclusion is Tua Tagovailoa. Now, why you say I'm picking on Tua Tagovailoa? Why am I singling him out? And because I'm watching him and I'm evaluating it. Here's my thoughts. He is the perfect example of a system quarterback. He makes good decisions, accurate passes when everything is set up perfect for the team and everything is going good. But when the game is on the line against a good, tough, quality opponent, Tua seems confused and he looks like he's dealing with a lot of thoughts and emotions and things just going through his head and unable to focus on the task. And that's what it looked like in the fourth quarter for Tua Tagovailoa with 3 minutes left or so. But we're going to get into that, right? You see, my problem and my disposition will always be I played with Tom Brady. So I see things different from a lot of people or the average player who, maybe didn't get to play with good quarterbacks or great quarterbacks and always had an average team, right? So that's my disposition because I played with the greatest. And I see things differently, right? I understand what it takes to be a champion and how your quarterback should operate if, your team wants to win Super Bowls or be a champion, right? And my problem for Tua is, it's about tight coverage. When everything is going good and Tyreek Hill is running past everybody, Tua can execute those plays. But when tight coverage, it's a problem. He's not hitting the tight throws or the tough throws, right? These games against top opponents are what Tua needs to make a difference to solidify himself as an elite quarterback. Because he's not an elite quarterback in my eyes. To you, you may say, yeah, MVP race and all these numbers and close to breaking records. But no, throwing for a lot of numbers for a quarterback, that don't solidify you as elite. You have to win games, championship games. You have to lead through adversity, fourth quarter comebacks, right? He needs to be the reason why they win, or most of the reason why the Dolphins win. And yeah, he's most of the reason when they're winning against these unranked opponents or these opponents that don't have a winning record. And like I said, the fourth quarter with just under 3 minutes left was nothing but opportunity for Tua Tagovailoa, and he could not make a play. He wasn't even close. It was 4 downs, 4 straight downs. And he just looked totally out of sync, unable to execute plays and hit, even give the opportunity, the receivers, the opportunity to make a play. The balls was falling short, fumbling snaps, might have been the center fault. But these are the things we need to see from Tua Tagovailoa because the NFL is about making plays and winning these games in these tough moments. That's what the NFL is based around. And Tua, I don't see that from Tua. But here's the thing. I've been looking at the NFL, evaluating these quarterbacks, and I came up with a little something. I have 3 quarterbacks that remind me of each other. Some still playing, some in the present, and some in the past, right? So these 3 quarterbacks remind me of each other. You got Tua Tagovailoa, Dak Prescott, and Tony Romo. They all resemble each other and have similar traits. They are good quarterbacks, but can't make the plays in the big games to be victorious or to make their team be victorious and lead them to the championship. It's situational football these quarterbacks have the biggest issue with. Situational football comes down to key plays or key situations and executing the plays that are needed to overcome the situation. That's what situational football may be. It might be 2 minutes left, 4th down and 2, no timeouts, that type of situation. Or can you execute? And that's what I see the problem with these 3 quarterbacks, the similarities, the traits that they have, right? These are where these quarterbacks fall in the same category. Tony Romo was unable to win the big games or help his team advance to championship games. Dak Prescott seems to be following the same exact path. But Tony Romo, if you don't all know the broadcaster, commentator, whatever you call it, if you didn't know, he was unable to lead the Dallas Cowboys to a championship. He was the quarterback for a long time, 2005 to I don't know, it was a very long time, right? But he never pulled off the big game and he was unable to lead his team to championships, right? Tony Romo was so bad at closing out games, he was the holder for the place kicker field goal in a 2006 wildcard game against the Seahawks and was unable to simply handle the snap to get a good clean kick and advance. The kick wasn't no more than 10 yards. And obviously the Cowboys lost this game. And that's what I mean by these 3 quarterbacks resemble each other. That playoff record is 2-4. And he couldn't advance against the 49ers last year, against a rookie, Brock Purdy. He couldn't advance against the 49ers and rookie Brock Purdy last season. They was trailing in the fourth quarter by a touchdown, if I remember correctly. Pretty much the whole fourth quarter. And Dak was unable to overcome that and lead his team to victory. He was unable to gain points. I think he scored 3 points that whole fourth quarter, and he needed 7. He was unable to execute and lead his team to victory. And on a third down, I remember it was third down in San Fran's red zone area, or you know what I mean? And Dak took a key sack on a third down. So these are what I mean by the plays that you need to execute to solidify yourself as a winner, a champion. Not just a good quarterback, because anybody could be good, but what it takes to be great. I know everybody want to be great. So, I'm going through it and I'm telling you why these quarterbacks remind me of each other. Not Tua. Tua eventually will get his chance to prove he is a champion. He did it in college, and that's what made him famous and all that stuff. But this is who I'm seeing right now at the quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. A quarterback that can simply just win games. But when it's time to go for that championship game in NFL, I don't know if Tua is going to deliver. I don't know if he has the wherewithal to be able to win the championships because it takes a lot. And you got to know how to win games. It's not about just going out and playing. It's a certain way every game has to be played. Now we're moving into December and January. Things get tougher. The intensity picks up. It gets colder, snowy games, and all those things you have to deal with adversity in the NFL. So I'm rooting for Tua. I want to see the Dolphins win. I'm down here with the Miami Dolphins, and I want to celebrate with them. So don't get it wrong. I'm just being a critic, good or bad. I'm going to talk about the good. I'm going to talk about the bad. But this is what I see until he changes my mind. This Tony Romo, Tua Tagovailoa, and Dak Prescott all remind me of each other. Tua Tagovailoa, Dak Prescott, and Tony Romo are the same person or same people when they're taking the snap at quarterback for an NFL team. So until they change my mind, that's where I stand at. That's my opinion on that. But I can't take credit away from the Kansas City defense. They did a heck of a job shutting down that explosive offense and Tyreek Hill. Tua couldn't just get back there and throw his big plays to Tyreek. It wasn't open. It was halted by L'Jarius Sneed. I hope I'm saying this right. I mean, you were physical at the line of scrimmage, and that was the difference in the game. You wasn't just getting hands on him. You were getting 2 hands on him. And most people know it's hard to get hands on Tyreek as quick and fast he is. And then you have to have the confidence that if you miss, you'd be able to run with him. But Sneed didn't have that problem. You was throwing that timing off, getting them hands on, and you was able to run stride for stride, step for step, even catching up. I know the ball takes time to get there, but that was very impressive because I don't see too many people step up to Tyreek with that confidence. Now, they said, of course, Sneed and Tyreek Hill have history because they played with each other, and that may be true. And if they did, then good job to the coaches, their coaching staff. That's what it's about. Coaching, finding advantages to help their team be successful, right? Hey, man, Sneed, man, you got to give a shout out to Sneed, man. He did a good job, and he was able to help his defense and team and shut that Miami Dolphins explosive offense down, right? You know, that was just a good job, right? One gets one of the, I guess you say, fastest talented receivers in the NFL. So can't take nothing away from the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Now the Arizona Cardinals, who will they select with the number 1 pick in the draft? Because they're going for the number 1 pick. It's clear as day. Who will the Arizona Cardinals select with the number 1 pick in the draft? Will it be Caleb Williams from USC, or would it be Michael Penix Jr. from the University of Washington? Because it's obvious what the Cardinals are doing and what they are up to. Even though Kyler Murray is expected to return very soon, don't expect very much from Kyler Murray, as we see from, Deshaun Watson. When you take a lot of time off, Joe Burrows, coming from injuries and stuff like that, you got to get back comfortable and adapt. So don't expect too much. But as I said, we see what is going on. Don't be a fool. This is obvious. And I guess you say it's fair. But to Josh Dobbs, how fair is this? He's getting traded like a NBA player. I know this can't be fun for him, but he's embracing it, and it seems like a good character young man. And, he was traded to the Minnesota Vikings, and they won his first game. And he won his first game as a Minnesota Viking, as a starter. What a slap in the face, right? Because that could have easily happened for the Arizona Cardinals, but they chose to trade him. for whatever reason, right? The games when Josh Dobbs played for Arizona Cardinals were at least they were competitive. When Josh was leading the team, at least they were competitive. This game now is just pretty much was a shit show. We are halfway through the season, and they decided to trade Josh Dobbs, right? Think about that. Halfway through the season, you decide to trade Josh Dobbs and give a new quarterback an opportunity. I think he only had one start previously to this game, right? And, geez, it showed. It showed exactly what the coaching staff and the Arizona Cardinals expected. And they got what they wanted. And it was a shit show. But like I say, the Cleveland defense was awesome. But, Josh Dobbs, he always made the game competitive and gave the Cardinals a chance to win, right? But expect Kyler Murray, if he's back this week, next week, or the week after that, expect him to be very rusty in his return. I don't know if they're going to throw him right in there and let him take all the snaps, but expect him to be very rusty, as we've seen with other quarterbacks, right? You may not even see the difference from Kyler Murray to Josh Dobbs, because Josh Dobbs was doing that good of a job. Whoever's handling and leading the offense, right? It may look the same, but the coaching staff has to be very careful of how they handle Kyler Murray's return, because he has a hefty contract that is guaranteed. And you need to keep his value high. So if you need to trade him or off him. So this situation is something that we got to keep watching and continue to evaluate, because we want to see how it's going to pan out. Are they going to play Kyler Murray and hope he plays good to try to trade him and use him as leverage to get more picks? Or are they simply just maybe not play him and play him limited to secure this number one pick in the NFL draft? Now the Ravens, let me tell you something about the Baltimore Ravens. That is a great team. That is a pretty good team. Let me tell you, they are so good, they may not lose another game this year. The Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson is handling that offense, and he is on fire. They may not lose another game this year. The Baltimore Ravens. I know they play the Eagles. I know they play a lot of teams. But the way Lamar Jackson, like I said before, the Allen Iverson in him is showing. You know, he's playing at Allen Iverson championship level when Allen Iverson led his team by himself to the championship. All right. He's on his hot streak, and he is showing no signs of slowing down. Shout out to Lamar Jackson, right? He is the type of player, and he has the type of team that is built around him. You know, Ozzie Newton, shout out to Ozzie Newton building these teams. He can throw for 100 yards and still dominate the game. His team and his offense, he can throw for 100 yards and he can still dominate the game. That's the type of player Lamar Jackson is, right? And I got to give a shout out, like I said, to Ozzie Newton. Ozzie Newton, he did a great job, the general manager, of putting this Raven team together. You know, building that culture, understand how to build a culture in the locker room, understanding the type of players to put around Lamar Jackson and how to be physical, because they always physical since, you know, the days of Ray Lewis. They started that physical mentality over there. But Ozzie Newton, he understands how to put a team together and build a culture, a brotherhood. So you got to give a shot at him, because I don't think people understand his selections when, you know, he's in the draft picking Lamar Jackson sitting there at pick number, 30, 31, and the Baltimore Ravens, the only team that's willing to select him. So he knows what he's doing. And, got to give him a shout out, right? But this is a part of understanding how to win, a winning culture, putting a winning culture together, putting a team that loves to play for each other. Creating that brotherhood. So watch out for the Baltimore Ravens, because, like I said, they may not lose another game. They playing really good ball. They have some weaknesses. I think they can use, a young stud at running back. But, watch out for the Baltimore Ravens. Now the Cleveland Browns. Like I said, the Cleveland Browns, they straight dominated the Arizona Cardinals. But do you ever think Deshaun Watson will get back to his old elite status? Because I'm watching him and, the stats showing up. And he got some tip balls that went for touchdown. But, he played a lot better than he played previously. He showed a glimpse of his old self, against the team. But, he playing against a team who's looking for the number one pick in the draft. So, I'm waiting to see, is Deshaun Watson going to get back to his old self, right? Because he was elite. He was electrifying. And that was the expectations in Cleveland. And I don't want this to go down as one of the worst situations, that trades and signings and all that stuff, right? The challenge will be next week for Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns. They will have to go against the Baltimore Ravens, and Lamar Jackson. Like I said, I don't see Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens losing any games in the future. So this is the biggest challenge coming up for Deshaun Watson. I will be tuned in, and I hope he comes with his A game because I'm ready to see the old Deshaun Watson back, right? He has to play his best ball to win this game against Lamar Jackson. Ain't no doubt about it. They both have good defense, right? But you can't just depend on the defense to dominate and win this game. The offense needs to bring their A game as well, right? They have a great defense, led by Myles Garrett, and they are ready to get off the ball. But the difference is Lamar Jackson, he can slow that rush down because he's not just dropping back and throwing that ball. So you got to respect him taking off of that ball. So Myles Garrett trying to just tee off and get off on people, I don't know. This is going to be a good game. But like I said, Deshaun Watson, are we going to get back to that elite status? I want to know, is the shoulders okay? Yes, you came out and said you would rush and you admitted it, that you came out too early, you was anxious. That's a good sign to me because you're anxious to play. You're ready to go show everybody what you can do. We know you're there mentally, meaning is like as far as wanting to play, but the focus and, all those good things. So